Hello, I welcome you all to this module 3, which is going to deal with the principles and objectives of extension education. So, now coming to the understanding of the basic thing, that is what we mean by principle. Principle means fundamental truth or proposition that has to be pursued. Principle also means rule or law that should be followed. So, when we say that this is the principle of extension, it means it needs to be followed by those who are practicing extension. So, that is what is the basic meaning. The first one is the principle, the first one is principle as a cause. So, when we get an end product, it has a cause that produces it. It means there is a cause and effect relationship between the principle, behind the principle. Now, coming to the second one, that is the principle as a moral law. It is when we accept a principle, it has a particular value system that we need to follow. We are representing a particular value system and that needs to be followed, and that is going to reveal our personality or the concept of the thing that what we are dealing with. Then coming to the third one, principle as an axiom. In case of axiom, it explains the event and its relationship between the various issues. Now, after understanding the word principle, coming to how the principles are formed. Can we make our own principle, or can we put forth now new principles? So, this is the question that is coming to our mind. So, let us try to go back to its roots, how the principles are formed. The formation of the principle has its roots in the research. So, when we conduct a research, we generally begin with the hypothesis. What is this hypothesis? Hypothesis is nothing but a hunch or a conjectural statement between the various issues under study. When the hypothesis is proved through the process of research, so then we say that it is a theory. It becomes a theory. So, when we come across the theory, so the theory is put into various rigorous statistical measurements, not at one place but in different places under different settings, and we go on proving, and when it proves itself over a period of time in different parts, then it becomes the principle. Many times we feel that these principles are of academic importance and we need not have application in the field, and they don't have any application in the field. This is the misconception that we generally carry. So, if we are taking up the extension activities or the extension educational activities or the extension service activities, so then there is going to be a larger gap. So, how to overcome this particular thing? Just to give you an example, so when we talk of the principles of extension, those of us who are the students of extension, one thing that we need to remember is whatever the profession that we are going to accept after completing of our education, that directly or indirectly leading to the extension services. So, how it is? So, then let me give you an example. For example, if you are pursuing your education maybe in nutrition or maybe as a dietitian or maybe as a textile expert, whatever it is. Now, so what you will do after getting the education? You may become dietitian, or you may become nutritionist, or you may become a textile expert after your master's and doctorate degrees. So, what for you are conducting the research as a researcher in textile or as a researcher in nutrition? You have a definite client group who are looking for the outcomes of the research. It means you have a definite set of clients to whom that you need to serve. Again, the concept of extension service is coming there. If you are a teacher, you are dealing with the issues associated with the education. If you are a service provider, you are going to provide your knowledge in the form of information to a particular group of people. So, all these things revolve around extension education only. Whatever may be our area of specialization, invariably we are expected to take up this extension activities. So that is why understanding the principles of extension becomes a first and foremost element of beginning the extension services. In all these discussions, the total emphasis is on extension. So, while understanding the concept itself, we have said that X means out and tensio means stretching out, and it has a different connotations in different countries. Then when it comes to Indian context, we have understood it as a process of transfer of technology or extending the research outcomes from the laboratories to the field. So in this entire process, the concept of extension accepted its responsibility of transferring the technology. In all these efforts, one particular issue that could not get any attention is what is the intention of extension. So with this background of understanding the concept of principles and the inner tensions of extension, coming to the principles of extension. The first principle is the principle of interest and need. In our previous discussion also, we have made an effort to understand the concept of need. Need is basically the difference between what is and what ought to be. So, when we are talking of this extension education or when we are talking of taking up any extension initiatives, so the first and foremost priority should be given to the needs and interests of the people. The basic premise or the simple premise is if we take care of their needs, definitely the communities with which that we are going to work with, they are going to be near and dear ones. And this is what the principle of democracy is also saying, where we have already said that individual is supreme. So how an individual can become supreme? Because of his involvement in the program, and when he is going to involve in his program, when his needs and his interest are going to be taken care of. So that is why extension, the first and foremost principle of extension is the principle of interest and need. Then coming to the principle of cultural difference. Since the concept of extension is working with the communities. When we are working with the communities, we need to understand their culture. India being a vast country having different socio-cultural backgrounds. You leave about the different corners of the nation. When we take a particular state and within the districts of a particular state, we find the differences in culture. When we move from one place to another place, we have a different culture at every defined places. So, why an extension educationist have to understand the cultural difference or the issues associated with the culture? Because when we are working with the community, if we don't follow the culture, then the community will not associate yourself with the extension activities. So, when the community don't accept you, because you are not accepting their culture. So, when you accept their culture, definitely community is going to accept you. This is one aspect of cultural difference. Then, the second aspect of this cultural difference is an extension agent generally, normally is an outsider, does not belong to that particular community or the area with which we are taking up these extension activities. So, when an external agency enters into a particular society or a village or a district, so that itself becomes an external agent, and there is a cultural difference between the person who is expected to take up this extension activities and for whom the extension activities are being conducted. So there should be some common factors. So that is why we are emphasizing again and again on the principle of cultural difference. Now, coming to the principle of participation. The basic thing that we need to understand is why people should participate and why people are not participating. So, when we expect the people's participation in an extension program, it means the program is meant for them. But even when the program is meant for them, why people are not participating? Because it has its relationship with the first principle what we have discussed, that is principle of need and interest. So when the planning of the program is having top-down approach, then we see less participation of the people, and when we have the approach of bottom up while program planning and its implementation, we see more participation of the people. So this is what becomes the two major approaches of extension education. So when we look into the programs that were implemented after independence till 1990s, the late 1980s that we can say, the programs were having top-down approach. Because of that, people's participation was very limited in case of extension programs. When we look into the approaches that were adopted in the post-90s, so then it was a participatory approach and the planning process involved the bottom-up approach. So then there was increase in participation. So ultimately, if people don't participate, the extension program is not going to be successful. So that is why extension emphasizes on participation of the people. Then coming to the fourth principle, that is principle of adaptability. So when we say that it is adaptability, the extension worker being an external agent should adapt himself to the cultural situation and socio-cultural background wherein he is going to work with. And with his adoption, he is going to emphasize on adoption of a new information by the communities that he is working with. Whether the technology is related to agriculture or home science or any of these areas, the prefix of the extension education is going on to change, but the suffix, that is extension, remains same. That he is emphasizing on the issues related to agriculture or home science or animal husbandry, so on and so forth. Ultimately, people have to accept the new information, and for which extension worker has his own role to play by adopting himself the local situations. Then coming to the fifth principle of extension, which deals with grassroots principle of organization. So when we say that grassroots principle of organization, so since the human civilization, we have seen that man is a social animal. So when we say that it is adaptability, the extension worker being an external agent should adapt himself to the cultural situation and socio-cultural background wherein he is going to work with. And with his adoption, he is going to emphasize on adoption of a new information by the communities that he is working with. Whether the technology is related to agriculture or home science or any of these areas, the prefix of the extension education is going on to change, but the suffix, that is extension, remains same. That he is emphasizing on the issues related to agriculture or home science or animal husbandry, so on and so forth. Ultimately, people have to accept the new information, and for which extension worker has his own role to play by adopting himself the local situations. Then coming to the principle of leadership. While discussing about the philosophy of extension also, we were having a reference to the concept of leadership. Being the students of home science, in your own locality, you can ask for the people. So, who is the person, who is the lady, who is very good in knitting in a particular society, in a particular mohalla or in a particular village? So, then you will get few names. Yes, so and so is very good in knitting, and so is very good in cooking. You go on asking the people, different people, you will get the same names by each and every one with certain exceptions. What does it mean? It means that particular lady has specialized herself in that particular activity, may it be cooking or may it be knitting or may it be any of the activity, and that particular quality lying within that particular individual has made him or her the leader. The role of extension is in identification of a leader who is having the prominent talent. Let me give you an example, and you all can conduct this small experiment in your own settings. The role of extension in this particular case is identification of such leaders, and we are trying to call them as opinion leaders. And these opinion leaders are going to be the key players in implementation of all the extension activities, because they have already established themselves not through formal organizations but through their own skills and through their own abilities. Identifying such individuals and taking their help in implementation of the programs is one of the primary principles of extension education. That is what we are trying to present it as the leadership principle. Then coming to the whole family principle. So when we look at the definitions, when we look at the principles as well as its philosophy of extension, the involvement of the entire family is the primary focus of extension. And extension has the programs for each and every member of a family, may it be male or may it be female or may it be youth or whatever it is. We have a definite programs for each and every member of the family. So that is why we are interested in involvement of the whole family, and it is one of the principle of extension. Then coming to the principle of cooperation. Principle of cooperation is going to deal with, so how we can take up the activities in a joint manner. We were talking of the principle of grassroots organizations. There are a good number of grassroots organizations that we look into, as well as the formal organizations who are interested in taking up these extension activities. When all these people come on a common platform, so then we are going to achieve the principle of cooperation. So until and unless we cooperate, the extension activity is not going to be successful. Hence, the total emphasis is on cooperation. Even though it seems to be very easy for discussion as well as understanding, but when it comes to the practice, it is one of the most difficult aspects the extension professionals are facing. Then coming to the principle of satisfaction. Once we plan, implement the program, it has to end with certain satisfaction of our client system for whom the program is meant for. If the people are not satisfied, so then something is wrong somewhere. So all the extension programs are having the principle of satisfaction because we have a definite program for them and we want to satisfy the needs and interest of each and every individual. Then coming to the evaluation principle, the last principle, evaluation principle. So there are different types of evaluations that extension is going to conduct. The basic purpose of this evaluation is to understand what exactly is the situation. There are three types of evaluation that we generally come across. We have already discussed these things in our previous discussion also. Let me remind you once again. The first type of evaluation that we are going to conduct is ex ante evaluation, which is before beginning of the program, wherein we are going to come out with the actual situation that is existing at the field level. So based on that, we are going to develop the program and we are going to implement the program, and during the program implementation process, we are going to have the concurrent evaluation, which is continuous process, after implementation of the program until end of the program. So during the concurrent evaluation, we are going to get the constant feedback from all actors, those who are involved in this extension programs. So the moment we go on getting the feedback, it means if there are any lacunas that may be covered during the process. So that is what is the basic objective of this concurrent evaluation. With this, now we will be moving on to the objectives of extension education. The first objective is to assist people to discover and analyze their problems and identify their felt needs. In our previous discussion also, we had a reference to the concept of needs. Here, we are telling that we are going to help, the objective of extension is going to help the people in identifying their problems as well as identifying the felt needs. So this is one category of need wherein we have already aware of. But there is another category of need wherein we are not aware of. We say that they are our unfelt needs. So, and it is the root of the problem that we are going to face. So hence, to address that particular root cause, so we are going to translate the unfelt needs to the felt needs. Let me give an example with the help of an example of in agriculture sector. We want to harvest the higher levels of yield in case of agriculture, but we are not able to do that, and that is what is the situation existing, and we try to identify it as a problem. What is that? We are not getting the higher yields. So in its root, when we are going to analyze, there are the felt needs as well as unfelt needs. When we try to identify the felt needs, that is application of fertilizers and plant protection chemicals, definitely is going to help in increasing the yield. And what we are already adopting these particular practices of application of fertilizer as well as the plant protection chemicals. But still, the yield is not increasing. What might be the reasons? Because there are certain unfelt needs that we need to identify. What is that? The requirement of the micronutrients, the effect of which is not visible immediately after its application. If you are going to apply nitrogen, phosphorus or potassium, so we are going to get the result as early as possible. But when in case of the micronutrients, the effect is seen only at the time of the harvest with the increase in yield. So that is why the role of extension, the objective of extension is to translate this unfelt needs into the felt needs. That's what is our first objective. Then coming to the second objective, to develop leadership among the people and help them in organizing groups to solve their problems. So this particular objective can otherwise be understood as coming together is the beginning. We need to organize ourselves into the groups. That is what is of primary importance, because the typical nature of Indian agriculture is 80% of the holdings are small and marginal. And when these 80% of the people are small and marginal, they lack bargaining power, and that is why they are suffering from the changes related to socio-economic. And when we look into the typical marketing aspects of the agriculture, so a majority of the farmers are not getting the better price for their produce in the market, and the consumer is paying the higher prices, but farmers are not realizing the higher profits. When we analyze this particular thing, so the research analysis says that 70% of what the consumer pays is going to the marketing channels, those who are involved in the marketing channels. And the primary producer is getting only the 30% of the price paid by the consumer. So there is a huge gap. How to address this particular gap? It is by organizing people into groups, by organizing the farmers or the primary producers into groups. When you combine your produce, so then you are going to get the higher prices, and the white revolution is the successful example for this particular thing. The small producers, the milk producers, now they are having a very comfortable situation because they are going to pool their product with the help of the groups what they have formed, and the extension agency played an instrumental role in organizing the people into groups and ultimately achieving the results. And similarly, we have seen good number of such movements wherein people organized themselves into groups and changed their socio-economic situation. Then coming to the third objective of extension, dissemination of research information of economic and practical importance in a way people should be able to understand and use. In our previous discussion also we have seen that the basic function of extension education is to translate the complex research information into the language which is understandable by the common man. It is not only that, there is one more input in this particular aspect. What is that? The information should be of economic and practical importance for the communities. So that type of information that we need to collect from different sources and to present it to the people so that they can understand and use it. Coming to the fourth objective, to assist people in mobilizing and utilizing resources which they have and which they need from outside. There are a good number of resources that the farmers or the client system is having with them. The problem is in its identification. Even though we have the resource with us, but we did not identify it as an important resource. One of the biggest example that we can quote here is, most of the time we never understand every individual is going to be a resource, and now we are trying to identify it as a human resource. He has a definite role to play, provided his abilities are identified and accordingly he is given some responsibilities. Apart from that, like water, land, solar energy, there are a good number of such resources that are at our disposal. We can make more competent use of all these resources. So we can make it only when we are going to identify it as a resource. So that is where the role of extension education comes into the picture. And there are certain resources which we need from outside. So identification of these resources, for example, it may be the financial assistance, or it may be the technology, or it may be any issues related to the such things that we need from the outside agencies. So let us have a clear-cut understanding of what we have and what we don't have as far as the resources are considered. So when we make this analysis, then we will come to know that yes, these are the things that we are going to arrange, and extension is the agency which is going to play the dominant role in identification as well as arrangement of the resources from different sources. The last and but not the least function objective of extension education is to collect and transmit feedback information for solving the management problems. If the parent agency don't get the appropriate feedback, we cannot overcome the existing problems. Feedback is always source oriented. So the source which is going to receive the stimulus from various sources, that is the origin of the process of feedback. The moment we collect this feedback and we are going to analyze this feedback, then we can address the problems that what the society is facing or what the communities with which that we are working are facing. So that is how collection and transmitting this feedback information for solving the management problems becomes one of the objective of extension education.
Now, coming to the conclusion, the basic objective of extension is to help the people to discover the needs. It is not that they are not aware of, as I have said in our previous discussion, there are good number of unfelt needs that needs to be translated to the felt needs, and that is how we are discussing discovering the needs that what we want. Then extension develops the leadership among the people. Identification of leadership means identifying the quality lying within an individual, and through that he is trying to exhibit his leadership abilities. Extension motivates the people to adopt latest research outcomes for changing their socio-economic level. So, it is only with the adoption of new technology there can be certain changes. So, while adopting these technologies, so many factors are to be taken into account, and that is where extension is going to play the role as a change agent. Extension has an efficient feedback mechanism. What is the role of this feedback mechanism? Feedback mechanism is going to help in solving the problems of its clients, so that we can ensure the overall development or the holistic development of the society.